It all starts the same way. I post a few videos about Eve. I dove deep into her Hebrew name, her creation, her divine role as more than just a helper, as a revelation. I unpacked the text with care, and then the comments began. Not just questions, but straight up assertions. Lilith came first. Read Genesis 1 again. Genesis 1 and 2 are two different creation stories. Eve wasn't the first woman. She was the replacement of Lilith. At first, it seems fringe, a myth tucked away in esoteric circles, but then it spreads through comment sections and TikToks, YouTube shorts. And before you know it, people who've never read the Bible nor even looked at a Hebrew word in the Strong's Concordance are arguing as if they've discovered something hidden in a book that never mentions this other woman. Because Lilith, if we were being honest, was never hidden in the Bible. She was never Adam's first wife. She was never there to begin with. There is no mention of Lilith at all in this text, in this entire book. So how do we get here? How do we get to this viral, very confident and aggressive belief that the first woman wasn't Eve, but Lilith? To answer that, we have to step back not just to Genesis, but to Babylon, to dusty tablets, to Jewish satire, and to a lie so cleverly packaged, it now wears the costume of truth. Let's start with the name Lilith. And all, let me say that again, all, let me spell it for you, A-L-L, that's all. I'm telling my age. In all the books of the scripture, through all the canons of any faith tradition, including the 81 to 88 books of the Ethiopian Bible, all 73 books of the Catholic Bible, all in the once 80 books of the Protestant Bible, which included the Apocrypha, Lilith appears exactly one time. Isaiah 34:14. And even then, it's in a list, poetic, desolate list of wild animals and night creatures that hunt the ruins after divine judgment. The Hebrew word is Lilith, a night specter, a screecher. Some translate it as a night monster. Others leave it untranslated. But one thing is agreed upon. This is not a woman. And certainly not the wife of Adam. But the great Isaiah scroll from the Dead Sea Scrolls challenges that. It doesn't say Lilith, it says Liliot, which can be literally translated as night ones, plural, or night creatures or beings. There is no proper name, no demonic person, and certainly no individual figure being introduced here. Still, people insist it's a cover-up. They erased her. She's in the real Genesis. Oh my God, I hear it all. So let's look there. Let's start at Genesis 1:26 and 27. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. I don't know about you, but I didn't hear anything about a Lilith, nor was a name Lilith ever mentioned in the text. Neither was the name Lilith found or can be found in the Hebrew. Genesis 1:26 and 27 tell us that God created humankind, male and female, in his image. No names, just categories. It's the wide angle lens of creation. Then if you skip over to Genesis chapter 2, it's a zoomed in vision of creation itself. I go deep into that in God's garden. Got to check it out if you don't have it. In chapter 2, we meet Adam. We see the garden and we watch as God forms the woman. Not from the ground this time like Adam was, but from Adam's side. It's intimate, intentional, and her name, Hava, is given after Adam names her that, after they eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And he says he names her Hava because she was the mother of all living. But this is where the theory sets in. Because Genesis 1 says, male and female, he created them. Some argue that that must be a different woman, an earlier woman, a first wife to Adam. Eve, they say, comes later. A redo, a plan B. Oh, I'm trying to stop laughing. And this, they believe, is where Lilith fits. But only there's a problem. That story, it doesn't come from Moses. It comes from a man named Ben Sira. And the book, the alphabet of Ben Sira, written sometime between the 8th and 10th centuries AD, that's over 1,500 years after Moses wrote Genesis. Help me. It's not scripture. It's not even sacred. It's a satire, a parody that invents a backstory for Lilith as Adam's first wife. One who refused to be under him, says the divine name, and then flies away. The punchline is God sends angels to retrieve her. She refuses to cooperate with those angels, so he creates Eve from Adam's rib. That's it. That's the whole story. It's a medieval joke that becomes a modern theology. But myths don't spread because they're true. They spread because they're useful. In this case, Lilith gets resurrected not by Bible readers, but by occultists, mystics, and later feminist writers. Each version shapes her differently. In Babylon, she's a winged night demon, not a woman, not human, a demon. In the Zohar, she's the queen of demons, not a woman. In a 20th century essay, she's repacked as the prototype of female empowerment. Rebellious, independent, unapologetic. But that's not the Bible. It's not written in the Bible. It's given in other sources. Sources that have never been remotely considered to be authoritative. By the time Lilith shows up in pop culture, she's been everything from a vampire, seductress, to a children's book hero. The myth has been bent, stretched, and marketed to almost every generation. But never once, not once, confirmed where it matters in Scripture. And still, people point to Genesis 1 and say, there she is. And I'm like, how. But Genesis doesn't describe two women. It describes two lenses, the overview and the close-up. That's not a contradiction. It's a Hebrew literary structure. The first chapter sets the stage. The second chapter slows the camera. They're not two stories. They're actually one. And Lilith, she's never in either one of them. But maybe the deeper question is this: why does it even matter? Why do so many cling to a myth that never stood on a biblical foundation? Because myths offer mystery. And mystery, especially ones that feel suppressed, feel powerful. If Eve is what we've been told, then Lilith must be what is hidden. It's crazy because I'm a Proverbs 25:2 guy. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, the honor of kings to search out that matter. But what we're finding about Lilith, that's not revelation. That's rebranding. And here's the irony of it all. Even within the myth, Lilith is never a figure of life, never a co-creator, never a helper suitable. She's destructive, solitary, aligned with death, not destiny. Eve is named life. Lilith, even in the legends, bring the opposite. So no, Lilith was never Adam's first wife, never shaped from the soil, never walked in the garden, never given breath by God. She was never a woman. She was never real, at least not in a human sense. A mirror is what she is. A mirror of our projections. A vessel for other agendas, should we say. A ghost stitched together from Babylonian demons, medieval satire, and modern reinterpretation. And the more we elevate her, the more we erase the truth God actually gave us in the text. If this exposed something you've been wondering about, I want you to grab my book, God's Garden. It's packed with Hebrew insights like this, designed to flip the lights on and help you see what's actually in the text. And if you're ready to dig even deeper, join me for the Ancient Hebrew Key. You can register now at GCLMEDIA.org. I'll leave a link in the description. We need to challenge what we've been told. We need to uncover what's really there. And we need to equip ourselves to read Scripture with fresh eyes and clarity.